you doing? So I just became Paragon in my new realistic account challenge. So I was wondering how many players are Paragon and Valiant players that are active players currently. Okay, so let's try to figure that out. So before I tell you what that is, pause the video and actually guess how many percent of players are Paragon and Valiant. And I'm just gonna tell you, it's gonna shock you. Okay, we'll be surprised how many there are. You know, it took me 241 days to become Paragon as a free to play player, but more importantly, I guess being free to play is probably the most important thing. But other than taking 241 days, but more importantly, it took 128 hours. That's the more important part. And social media will let you to believe what took you so long to become Paragon. And it's so easy to become Paragon, right? So I'm just gonna try to see what are the percent of people that are Paragon and Valiant players. So before I do, let's take a look at what social media will let you to believe how many people are. So give your guess, pause the video if you have to, but this is a poll from Legacy's channel. So let's pause the video. So looking at Legacy's poll from the community post, it says here there's 75% players are Valiant and Paragon players. And actually, the first time I saw this, it had Valiant, about 55% are Valiant players. And now it's just about half. And then it looks like Paragon and Valiant players are 75%. There's so much flaw to this. It's not even funny. First of all, it's a voluntary sample. So if you know statistics, if you're taking it, or anything about sample size, that is probably the worst way to sample how many people are Valiant and Paragon players. Okay, so I also made another video. So let's see. It was this one. Why don't people do Necropolis? You know, something I said on this video. If you live in social media, you probably think 90% of players are Valiant and Paragon players. And the truth is, it's not even close to that. I say it's probably 30%, right? Are Paragon and Valiant players. And, you know, probably about 10% of people have done Necropolis. And by the data, it might even be less than half of what I said. There could be less. It could be 15% of people could be Paragon and Valiant players, and maybe even 5% of people have done Necropolis. So it could be less. I know somebody said, no, you're just making up those numbers. Yeah, you're right. I was guesstimating, and 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 I was wrong. It's actually lesser than I thought based on this video. So we're gonna look at some data to prove that. So let me go back to this. You know, it's funny that Kabam, you know, like they just tell you a bunch of datas, like how many deaths in Necropolis, but they didn't tell you how many what percentage of the community has done Necropolis, or how many players are Valiant, Paragon, whatever ranking there are. Why don't they tell you those things? Obviously, they're the least transparent company in the world. That's other than that, because they want you to believe in a lie. They want you to believe in a lie. They want you to see social media thinking that's what's true. And I've said many times in this channel, don't believe anything you see in social media. Okay, the, this is just, and I'm going to prove to you, this is based on fact. It's just complete fact. How many people are Paragon and Valiant players? So let's just look at some data. So this is what I placed in the banquet event. 160,867. And look at what placement I got. Okay? I placed in the top 25%. Okay? I placed in the top 25%. This is my ranking. 160,867. If I was the last person to get the top 25%. Okay, if you don't understand, if you don't understand the math, you just have to believe me. Okay, if you don't, that would be multiply this by 4 times. So over 640,000 people at least have participated in the banquet event. And that's not including all the people that are playing the game. There's people that didn't put any points in the banquet, but there's probably a very small amount of people. So we're just gonna not, you know, not count them. Okay. So let's say I pretty much are very unlikely I place in the top 20%, but if I did, that means you have to multiply by 5. So you're looking at over 800,000 people got involved in the banquet event. 800,000. So what's the number, right? How's that important to figure out how many people are Paragon and Valiant players? So let's go to my alliance. So here, let's go to my alliance. So based on my alliance, we actually had 30 people, one just left, and I'm pretty sure that person was not Paragon or Valiant. So based on my alliance, nobody that has a lower hero rating than I do is Paragon or Valiant. Um, Out of the other people in here, there's 3 people in my alliance that are Paragon. There's no Valiant. As far as Paragon, I kind of briefly looked at my alliance. Maybe there's an extra person that are Paragon, but I'm pretty sure nobody is in my alliance is Valiant. So 3 out of 30 are Valiant players. Okay, and all of those two that were high, there no besides my account, the new realistic new account challenge, Reno XP Gaming, um, all of them had a higher rating than me. Surprisingly, the other person that was Paragon is 20 hours with over over a million rating. I don't know if this is a new account for this person. Maybe it's their alternate account. But that's actually very fast for this person to do if he was a new player. Okay, and and then my main account Reno XP 911. So 3 out of 30. So that's 10%, right? So you could say based on my alliance, there's 10% of people are Valiant and Paragon players compared to the poll you saw with Legacy, which is 75%. Did you just see the difference? 10% compared to 75%? Okay, then you're probably going to say, you're not really in a very high alliance. So that's not very good data to look at. Okay, let's look at another data. Let's go to my main account, Reno XP 911. So this is my main account. This is my pay to win account. And let's take a look at my hero rating. I'm placed 81,000, basically ranked 81,000. Okay, so basically, I have the when it comes to my hero rating, I'm ranked 81,000. Okay, so what does that mean? So out of 800, as high as 800,000 people, right? I placed 81. So basically, I placed in the top 10% in hero rating. That's probably the highest, right? Top 10%. Okay. We'll just go the low end. We'll go out of 650,000, which is probably about the top 13%. Okay. Around 12 to 13%. I don't know if it's obvious already, but if you follow my channel, I do everything mentally. I don't write things down. I don't use calculator, so I do approximate things. So sometimes my numbers are not accurate. You can always confirm that by using calculator if you want. But out of 650,000, I'm probably around what 12%, maybe 13% around there. Okay, so let's assume that I'm the last Paragon player. Everybody that is higher than me is Valiant and Paragon player, and everybody below is Thronebreaker and below. Okay, so that means there's 13% of people are Paragon and Valiant players just based on my hero rating. Okay, based on my hero rating. Okay, obviously there's gonna be uh, Valiant player, Thronebreakers that have a higher rating than me, but there's also there players that are Paragon and Valiant players that have a lower rating than me. Let's just give a benefit of the doubt, which just makes sense that there are more people that are Paragon and Valiant players that have a lower rating than me. So we can, though, you know, increase it to what, 20%? People, there are 20% Valiant and Paragon players. Still, 20% out of a total of 100%. Okay, so basically 2 out of 10 people are Paragon and Valiant players. Or we can even go to the extreme. I think, based on what, 13%, double that number. So there's about 25% of people are Paragon and Valiant players. So only they make up a quarter of the community base when it comes to the game, which is pretty crazy. 25%. Okay. And this offer came out, you know, let me pause the video. So this offer came out, um, says a huge kabam W, okay? And this is, but there's a catch. So they basically, can I see it? They're selling these tier 4, what's that? What is that? Tier 5, tier 6 basic catalyst and tier 3 alpha catalyst for 10 units. Almost for free, okay? So, but the catch is you have to be Valiant player. Okay, that is funny. If you live in social media, you probably think everybody's gotten this reward, right? When it's only like the top 5%, it's ridiculous. So what happened is Kabam, uh, they gave the top 1% of 1%, basically 0.01% of players, this offer, and then I guess Valiant players were complaining about why did they get this offer. And so instead of just satisfying the 0.01% of players, Kabam decided to satisfy the top 5% players. They forgot about the bottom 95% of players that play this game. It's pretty ridiculous. You know what I mean? And the crazy part is they kind of have to, because I'm willing to bet, and it's probably even just guaranteed, I would say, that more than 90% of Kabam's profits are from Valiant players. I'm willing to bet on that for sure. I can pretty much say that's guaranteed. Okay? So, yeah, so that kind of makes sense why they need to satisfy the top 5%, which are Valiant players. But when it comes to Valiant players, and this is just a fact, I'm willing to, that's just guaranteed, just base logic. Valiant players, if you count for all, I remind for all accounts that's ever made, I don't know, maybe Kabam deleted some accounts, but all the accounts that been recreated, Valiant is the smallest amount. It's just base logic. Okay, when it comes to active players, are they the most right now? I don't know. That for that reason, I don't even think so. You know, because there's actually 10 progression base. If you're not sure, there's Summoner, basically you just open the game. There's Challenger, Contender, Proven, Conqueror, Uncollected, Cavalier, Thronebreaker, Paragon, and Valiant. So there's 10 different levels. If you split them by 10% each, because it has to add up to 100%, so that makes sense, 10% each, right? If you split 100% divided by 10. And if Paragon and Valiant is less than 20%, it would make sense that not even now, currently, even active, Valiant players are not the most out of all the progression level. So it is pretty crazy, but that is just a fact. I don't know what else to say other than that. And I'm just talking about active players. I don't know how many people have played uh, MCOC or even at least once, but maybe 8 million. I don't know if that seems unrealistic or not. 8 billion. When you think about out of 8 billion, One out of 1,000 people have played MCOC at least once, okay? Even just for, 10 minutes or something. That seems somewhat possible, okay? So, you know, okay, even let's go with a more realistic number, like 5 million, okay? 5 million. There's probably 50,000 people are Valiant players, okay? Let's say about 50,000 people. Okay, I know I said something in Legacy's channel on that poll that you saw. I said less than 5% of all accounts ever made it to Valiant players. It looks like it could be even less than 1% of all accounts that been created in MCOC has been Valiant players, which is pretty crazy. But those are just facts. Or, I don't know. I would like to see if somebody can prove me wrong. Of course, Kabam could just tell us this, but they don't want you to tell you that because this is why. Because this is what they want you to believe. They want you to believe in the lie. Just like I said, don't believe everything you see in social media. That's it. Thank you.